host, Jennifer Graziano of Zion Memorial Chapel and Cox and Graziano Funeral Homes. Jennifer is here to discuss a sensitive subject we all need to talk and think about. Here now is Jennifer Graziano and Time to Talk.
Good morning, Westchester. It's 9 a.m. on Monday, and that means it's time to talk with me, Jen Graziano. I'm a licensed funeral director who oversees my family's funeral homes, Cox and Graziano of both Mamaroneck and Greenwich, and the Zion Memorial Chapel of Westchester. Every week I come to you discussing important topics and sensitive matters that all of us need to pause and reflect upon at some point, and through this show, I hope to provide a platform to do so. If you're joining us on air this morning on 1460 WVOX, a Whitney Global Media station, we'll take questions, comments, and calls to 914-636-0110. Good morning to Julian in the control room. And good morning, Facebook Live viewers. So great to be back on this first Monday of November. Hi to Tim Judge behind the camera. Was a little shocked when I texted him last night on Halloween to say, can you come in? But it is great to be here live in studio talking about important things and raising awareness to important subjects. And happy Monday to all. Joined today by my friend, my own personal trainer, Dwayne July. Admittedly, when I met him, I thought Fit by July was like a really kitschy gimmick to get you in a bathing suit, but it's not because his name is Dwayne July. So Dwayne, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Dwayne has a private fitness studio right over the border in Greenwich, hop, skip, and a jump away. Easy to get to. We'll talk about that. He's also contributed to Coming of Age magazine, which we publish 4 times a year, which kind of coincides with the radio. And he has a very unique setup. So I've had him on air before to talk about overall health and fitness. But Dwayne's clientele spans the ages. So you have your 8-year-old girl section. I brought my own 9-year-old daughter in there for personal training, and it's amazing. And then he'll have 60s, 70s, and 80-year-olds in the gym as well. It's a non-intimidating setting, and the bottom line is you always need to keep moving. So Dwayne, welcome again. Talk to us a bit about yourself, your background first, and then the model of which is your gym.
So I actually got into fitness at 14 years old when I was playing football. And from then on, I just kind of fell in love with fitness. When I graduated from Western Connecticut State University, I had a decision to make. I was going to either keep on trying to chase my dreams of playing, professional football, or I was going to be able to start to make a living for my family. I had a young son at the time, and that just kind of trumped everything, right? The hoop dream of making the NFL just kind of did not work out the way I intended it to. But I fell back to my first love, which was working out. And then, I started at a big box gym.
Okay.
And I did that for 7 years, and then I stepped out on my own.
I mean, so fitness has been a part of your life, and there's so much to be said by starting that young, and the habits that you develop in your youth are going to carry with you. And you see today, childhood obesity is something that's so prevalent today.
Yes.
And until you develop this awareness and the light bulb goes off, it's never going to mean anything to you. Because when you start to step outside and look and see food that's sold on the shelves, what people are eating, and just the overall way that kids look today, even versus, I'm 41, I see a difference today with kids, even in my generation. And it all has to be coming from somewhere. So I think it's, kind of the social media, everybody on their phone society, coupled with food that's sold on the shelves.
Yeah.
So if you don't nip it in the bud now and get kids into a healthy mindset, you arguably lose them.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I believe social media is something that's a gift and a curse. So media, a lot of times, the people that kids are watching on social media, you're seeing the end result. And so kids think that they could just start today and get exactly to where those people are right now.
It's a false reality.
It's a false reality.
Yeah.
So they're not showing the work that it took for them to get to the point that they're showing us on actual social media. So we have a false sense of like that microwave. Hey, you just have to do these 3 things in 6 minutes today and get these abs. Or
Yeah, it's instant gratification.
Yep.
And everybody wants to look like a picture. And let's not even get into the subject that no one's picture is real. They're
Yep.
all
Yep, it's all
doctored
up.
fake and filtered, which is, who the hell needs plastic surgery then if everybody can just look like that? But it's crazy, and it's such a false reality, and it sets a false expectation.
Absolutely.
But the problem is it's gospel to these kids.
Absolutely.
And, everybody wants to cut the workout and just jump from point A to point B without doing any of the steps in between. So psychologically, it's so damaging, but then physically as well. And even food is not made the way it was. The processing, the manufacturing, everything is different. And it's all about mass production. And, cancer rates are so much higher than they were decades ago. So it's painting a picture that just begs the need for a good nutritional and fitness-minded and healthy foundation.
Yep. So when it comes to fitness, when it comes to the nutritional side of it, I think a lot of things with the processed foods, they're trying to make food taste good, right? That's the business that they're in. They want you to come back and be a repeat buyer, so they need to put stuff in there that's going to make the food taste good. Now, the way that we kind of challenge our members to push themselves is to make sure that you're doing whole foods,
yes,
right? Unprocessed at best, and try to do, like when we tell our members to go to the supermarket or you're shopping, try to stay on the outside of the supermarket. Don't go into the aisles. That's kind of where.
Oh, I never thought of that, because that's where you're going to find your produce, your meats,
dairies.
And your okay,
Absolutely.
And this is the same. I mean, taking your 8-year-old and your 70-year-old, your nutritional advice is not going to change. But as they're aging, and then there becomes issues for bone density, blood pressure, heart issues. Obviously, there's a very great need to stick to a proper nutritional diet and balanced diet. So how do you adjust accordingly, running the gamut of ages that you do with your clientele? Like, how does the advice change as we go up every decade, nutritionally speaking first?
Nutritionally, so we consider all of our clients athletes. I think everyone needs to make their body a vessel of maximum performance, regardless of whatever age you are, whether you're 8-year-olds or 80-year-olds.
Because
right?
it is possible at every age.
Absolutely.
You turned me into a boxer, Dwayne. That was pretty.
We're working on it.
Anybody who knows me knows.
We're working on it. But so the thing that I always say is, you always just want to make sure you're fueling your body to give you the best opportunity to win that day, right? And when it comes to nutrition, depending on if you're trying to lose weight or if you're trying to build muscle, it's all just a matter of, the science tells us that it's all just a matter of calories in versus calories out, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's little like intricacies to that, macronutrients and timing and stuff like that. But the basis of it all is, if you're trying to lose some weight, you just need to be in a calorie deficit. So we just have to figure out what your number is to make you stay the same weight and just come in a little bit below that on a consistent basis. Or if you're trying to build a little bit more muscle, let's say your bone density is low or your muscle mass is low, and we need to add some muscle to you, we just bump up the calories a little bit, and we'll probably bump it up through more protein and a little bit more carbs.
It's something so simple. So everything's like a radical fad. Yeah, go ahead.
A watcher wants to know, what do you eat for breakfast?
So it would all kind of depend, right? So I believe that when I give nutritional advice for anyone, it's the first thing is going to be to make sure that you pick something that you're going to do on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure, like, you don't want to say, I'm going to eat 5 eggs every day if you know that if you don't like eggs, or you don't, so, but you always want to try to make the basic premise is, you always want to try to make sure you have a protein in every meal, and breakfast in particular, because breakfast, you're breaking the fast, right? So you're sleeping for 6, 8, 9 hours, however long you're sleeping for, that your body's not getting any nutrients in. So you kind of want to break the fast. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of protein in that first meal that you're waking up from.
I don't think I should answer, but I had a Hershey Kiss this morning out of my daughter's Halloween candy pan.
So that
I'm not.
So that's actually interesting because I actually just had a conversation with a nutritionist friend of mine, and we were just basically talking about how we as a society do breakfast wrong, right? We basically give desserts at breakfast time. We either give like really sweet cereals, we either do donuts or cakes or muffins. Those are all like dessert type foods, and we're doing them for breakfast. So if you can cut that out.
All right, it was one Hershey Kiss. It was day after Halloween. It was in my face.
No, I get it.
But actually, you know what? So I tend to avoid. I don't eat breakfast, which I don't think is a great thing either.
Yep.
But because you find yourself very hungry and you need a little energy, and I'll be yelling at my daughter, "Eat breakfast, eat breakfast, eat breakfast," and she says, "Well, you don't do it." But I'm, everybody's body also has different caloric needs too.
Absolutely.
And you hear so much. I'm glad this subject came up. Intermittent fasting. Everything becomes like a fad. Everything's a fad. Everything's we must try this or quick fix. And like you say, it's not sustainable. So people embark on these journeys that they sound great in theory, and then 4 days later they're out of it. But we've heard so much about intermittent fasting. Break this down for us. Dispel the myth. Tell us what this is and if it's worth doing.
Intermittent fasting works for people that. It kind of all depends on your schedule. If you know you're not gonna eat when you first wake up, then intermittent fasting is great. The only thing that intermittent fasting does for you that makes it super like successful for a lot of people is it gives you a smaller window to eat foods. Now, if you have a smaller window to eat, if you're eating really clean, healthy foods, the calorie number is not going to be up there. But I've known people who've tried intermittent fasting and have eaten McDonald's during that time and haven't lost any weight. So it's all just a matter of
You saying McDonald's is bad too?
Disclaimer: I'm not talking anything about McDonald's, but it's just all about how many calories you're taking in. And what intermittent fasting does for you is it shortens your eating window versus you having 16 hours to eat or 20 hours to eat when you're up, and may cut it down to 8 hours.
So for those of us just joining us either on air on 1460 WVOX or Facebook Live, we're talking with Dwayne July, the owner of Fit by July in Greenwich. And we're talking nutrition right now. We're going to shift into the physical aspect, but you're really making us understand how accessible it is to be healthy. People think it's impossible. People think it's too old or they haven't begun. These are minor things that you can do. Adjusting caloric intake is something that you don't need a fitness coach to do. It's a lifestyle change. You yourself know what you're taking in, and it requires a mindfulness, checking calorie labels, checking nutrition labels, mindful grocery shopping, like you said, staying out of the processed foods. I mean, and sometimes we don't realize this until it's a health scare or for ourselves or someone we love. I mean, for me, when I had my daughter, I became so aware of things, and I said, how do you give baby food jars that's been on the shelves like for so long? And something just clicked for me, and it started from there. Some people have that heart attack or diabetes or something, or familial history, which makes them realize something's got to give. So point one, it's very accessible to make minor lifestyle changes. Let's go on to the physical fitness factor for people over 60.
So can I, before we move on, you just touched on diabetes. So one of the only things that I'll say about diabetes is it's extremely preventable, especially type 2. It's just a matter of just changing your lifestyle. And, I always stress my story. My father passed away from complications of diabetes. And to look back at, the way he was eating and the way that he just wasn't taking care of himself at the time, we were just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, you're just living his life, but it shortened his life. And the thing that everyone should kind of understand is especially if you have younger kids or grandkids or the people who are dependent on you to be here, right? So you have to, there's a responsibility not only to yourself to make these lifestyle changes. Yeah, there are people who are expecting you to be here.
So many people, and my husband's a physician, and we argue about this, but I do believe you can heal the body through good nutritional choices.
Absolutely.
You know, there's certain foods that are going to lower risks or provide necessary antioxidants or just enable you to reduce inflammation or fight disease. I'm a big believer in that.
Absolutely.
I subscribe to, Anthony Williams Medical Medium and celery juice and all that great stuff. Despite the fact that I had a piece of chocolate to start my day, I still believe in all that good stuff. I just didn't practice it
One
yet.
piece is a terrible.
Actually,
Don't make it every day.
it's Hershey Kiss, Dwayne. It's not like I had the bar. Let's talk about, though, fitness programs over 65. You have people in your gym. I see it firsthand because you have a great setting, by the way. It's the most non-intimidating setting. So anybody who thinks they can't go to a gym, get that out of your head right away. You have a place, it's in an office building. You walk in the door. There's always great music playing. And there are people working at their own pace. You have individualized programs. You do offer group classes as well, but for the most part, people are making their own schedule, coming at their own time, and you're doing their own program with them. So you're competing with yourself, no one else. Totally not intimidating. You know, it's not the fancy fitness clubs where people are more there for the fashion show. No, you're there for the workout. But it is possible. I see what some women especially are doing in their 70s. It blows my mind. How do you convince somebody to try this if they're coming of age and to let them know it's not too late and it's probably more important than ever that they get in?
I would say it's probably more important. So the as we mature more in age, it's much more important for us to get onto a fitness program. Reason being is you're going to start to lose coordination. You're going to start to lose balance. Your body's going to start to break down the muscle tissue.
Yeah, muscle memory too. So if you have a fall,
absolutely,
it's a game changer for people who are in shape versus not.
Yep. So you hear all the time, you know, my mom or my dad fell and broke his hip. Well, if your mom or dad were a little bit stronger, maybe that fall may hurt, but it may not.
It's not going to break them. Absolutely.
A broken hip. So it's one of those things that it's just a mindset where a lot of times people do get intimidated from going into a gym setting, and you're worried about looking stupid. So in our setting, what we try to do is just make people feel comfortable. And for us, it's not about trying to impress anyone else. It's about beating who you were yesterday and being better than that person was yesterday.
And your programs are so tailored for that. I mean, you go in and you see people lifting so much and you say, you know, oh, that's not for me. And then slowly you sneak that on to people. But it works. Little by little, you're building this strength that you didn't know you had. But again, when you're watching people, it is actually very motivating when you see people decades older than you doing so much. It actually pushes you to say, well, they can do it, I can do it. Yeah. Or you could shame them into that, which, you know, sometimes happens too.
Well, we don't.
But no, but the point is too, again, muscle memory. Like a fall could be life-changing.
Absolutely.
You know, again, it could be that broken hip, that broken leg. And if you're in your 70s and 80s, that you could go from perfect health and one fall can change that. So having the underlying muscular strength is so, so important. Heart disease, cardiovascular health. Just give some basic examples of how, even working out, how many times a week do you think somebody needs to work out if they're over 65?
3 times a week.
For how long?
45 minutes.
And something so small, it could just change the health and every aspect of your body.
Absolutely.
Especially your mental health as well.
But so there was a study that was just released like 2 years ago that just basically talked about how the mature adult population, they want to do more. They want to live more. And, you know, I was thinking about this concept today before we came in, and I was like, if you're looking at the rest of your life and you look at it as you're about to be a burden to your kids, or you're about to be a burden and have to be around and just be taken care of by other people, that's a very grim outlook, right? Why not be able to make a bucket list and
take
start
care
to
of
knock
yourself
stuff
and
off?
do it, right?
Absolutely.
There is no limit. I mean, the only limits are the ones we impose on ourselves most times. But I think that getting involved in a program such as this will open so many doors to people to make them realize what is possible.
Absolutely.
Because when you see, first of all, you do see results. If you stick to it, you do see results for sure. And mind and body work together. So
Absolutely.
you start to have a better outlook on life.
And then you start as you're working out. It may be challenging at the time, but there are hormones that get released in your body to make you feel good.
For
once
sure.
you're in there working on, you're getting a sweating, and it's one of those things that consistency does play a major role in success. But if you're consistent, you'll see yourself. One day something may be hard, the next day it may be hard, but one day it won't be hard.
Very, very true, Dwayne. So in the Coming of Age magazine that you were so wonderful to contribute to, you talk about 5 things to avoid when starting a fitness program. I guess I shouldn't talk about number 5 either. We talked about my hydration skills last week. Number 1, starting out too hard.
Yes.
So many people now are probably going to hear this. They're going to want to come in, and everybody's going to be some people will be overly ambitious. Talk about the danger of starting out a workout too hard.
Okay, so that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with social media. You may see something on social media that you're like, that looks cool, but if your body's not ready to do that, that could be potentially very dangerous. So what we like, all of our clients are athletes to us. We start all of our athletes out on a program where we assess you, right? So we're not going to guess as to what you can do. We're going to make an assessment as to what you can do, and based on what you can do, that's what we're going to program for.
And then go from there.
And then go from there.
Yes. No one stays in the same place with you. So, but starting out at the proper pace. And again, individualized plans. And also the benefit of having somebody with you. I mean, especially as you're aging, it's not a great idea just to go rogue in a gym. You want someone who's going to spot you with weight, make sure you're using the right weight itself, and
the right form.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you could do more harm than good sometimes. If you're not bending or moving the right way, you can pull something. So individualized workout plans are so much smarter for people who are committed to fitness as they age. Even if you have been going to a gym all your life, there's a lot of wisdom to now shifting gears to a more individualized model, such as at Dwayne's studio.
And to that point as well, like for someone who may have been going to a gym for years, what I find a lot of times is they go in and they have their routine. And what the general population needs to understand is if you do the same exact thing, same exact way, the same exact amount of reps, if everything remains the same,
Nothing's
eventually
changing.
your body's going to say, I don't need to adapt.
Right.
I don't need to change. So just changing the program up just a little bit may.
Yeah, which you do. I mean, when clients come in, it's not the same thing every time they come in. And you're very good. I mean, you could have 5 people at a time and you know what they did and what they need to do.
Absolutely.
The gym is never overcrowded. There's just never that intimidation factor. There's never that, I can't work out. There's too many people. I can't think. You really have done an amazing thing with your space, and it's really an amazing model. And again, 8-year-old girls to 80-year-old women and the men as well. You have high school kids that you're training. You have, professional guys getting out of work, and you run the gamut. And everybody who comes in there, they love you. They feel comfortable there. It's a great place to be, and the time goes by really, really quickly. So we're going to get to how they can contact you. Our time is drawing to a close. Other things to avoid: ego lifting, changing up the program too often, not being consistent, and not hydrating. Quickly kind of run through that for us.
So ego lifting, just make sure the weight that you choose.
Like I pick things up and put things down, like not being that guy.
You be that look, dropping the weights.
You know I had to mention that guy today. Okay.
You were that guy last week. But yeah, just picking a weight that's outside of what you can currently do.
Yes.
That can get you hurt. So just make sure
Yeah,
you
and
don't do
it's
that.
a slow phase up. Dwayne, how can people find you? You're located on Railroad Avenue in Greenwich. You're 15 minutes from downtown New Rochelle in southern Westchester. So you're really accessible right off 95 between exits 2 and 3. But how can they contact you? What's the website?
So our website is www.fitbyjuly.com.
So easy to remember that. Fit by July. I promise you, if you start today, you will be able to be fit by July.
Absolutely.
I still think it's the greatest name of a business I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Facebook, on social media.
Fit by July on
Fit
social
by
media.
July.
And then on Instagram, it's also Fit by July.
And a phone number for those who like to do it the old-fashioned way.
For the old-fashioned people, it's area code 203-900-1166.
It's 203-900-1166. Get to that last tip about hydration in our closing minute.
Okay, so our muscles are the biggest thing that's going to help with our muscles growing and being strong is hydration. But not only that is just making sure our kidneys, our liver is function the right way.
Flushing everything out, too. Right? Flushing out the toxins, yeah.
Dehydration is very, very dangerous. Being dehydrated is very, very dangerous. So make sure that you're staying hydrated. You don't want your livers and your kidneys and all your other organs shutting down on you.
And again, the body's in a system, so when one thing starts to go, the rest go.
Absolutely.
www.fitbyjuly.com. Thank you, Dwayne July. I'll see you tomorrow. And this is Jen Graziano thanking you for taking the time to listen as we took the time to talk. Have a great day, stay in shape, and call Dwayne. Bye-bye.